Frank Cosentino joins us for this segment. Comes on in, and he spends all week getting your emails and reading them and siphoning out the goods and the bads. Frank, welcome here to the Pro Wrestling Report. We've missed you there, Bubba. That's what Texans people call it.
You got any love sponges
I
around?
found this from the classic, remember?
Yeah, that is my jacket, by the way, and it's not black.
Did you move all the skeletons out of the way? Did you hear his stuff?
No.
Good. Carry on.
Welcome to PWR Interactive.
Hot, Frank, hot!
That was good. That was good. It flowed well. Very good. Very good. Frank's been going to broadcasting school with Bobby Brain. He's broadcasting.
Yeah.
Cutting into his 10 minutes.
I shall not interrupt you.
All right. Listen, PWR
Frank,
Interactive.
uninterrupted.
That's a new segment right there. Frank got interrupted. You know, Frank Cosentino gets no love. According to the message board, which you can see at www.pwrshow.com, go to the message board. Frank, you are blowing up on the board right now because they keep saying that Frank gets no love. JR, the king, and you're like Josh Matthews. I know that said Michael
Who's
Colbert.
been on this very program, John?
Damn, he's getting good. Very good. Yeah, Jerry Lawler's been on this very program
That's right.
as well, too.
A couple times.
Since you want to drop names.
PWR Interactive. The reason why we have this show is because of you and your emails to pwrshow.com. Let's get it started.
And the beat keeps going.
John Healy.
Have you ever felt Fergalicious?
It's Frank, uninterrupted.
Fergie? Does that have to do with Fergie? No,
You're not reading all that, are you?
No, I'm not.
Good.
John Healy from Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Dear fellas, I've thought many times on why people just won't cheer for John Cena anymore when they are cheered so hard for him in the beginning. He is the first star to come along in a long time that I believe the fans generally do not like. And I believe it is for these three reasons. Now, it's a very lengthy email here from John, but basically starts with the gimmick. When John Cena started as the rapper gimmick, it was sold so hard. 2, lack of strong heel. Basically, his matches against JBL is part of that. Number 3, lack of wrestling ability, which that comes along in time.
Still can't buy that.
And basically, his thoughts are all of those segments all together.
Lack of a strong heel. He didn't say in that email that JBL was not a strong heel. He's one of the 10 best heels of the last 10 years, is JBL.
In your opinion.
IMO. Get him, Frank.
Right.
Frank uninterrupted.
But John, I mean, your thoughts. John Cena still, in certain cities though, now it seems, more cheers than boos.
It's a 50-50 thing, and I'm
Is
not
it
going to buy.
split
I'm
down
not
the
going to
middle?
buy. I'm not going to buy into the whole only girls and small kids are cheering for John Cena.
Not anymore.
I'm not going to buy
He
into
certainly
that.
doesn't look as good as me.
Frank uninterrupted. Meathead uninterrupted.
That will never happen.
Just took the life out of him.
Is that a threat, young man? That's assault, by the way.
It's a promise.
It's
Carry
assault
on.
and battery.
It's a
Tick-tock,
promise.
tickety-tock, tick-tock.
Gary
John's-
from Manchester.
Ah, yes.
John Cena is going to be liked and booed no matter what the fans... The reason why the fans really, and you and us, really hated him when he started becoming this Marine gimmick is because it was force-fed down our throats, and I do not like to be told who to cheer for.
I.e. The Rock, 1996.
Thank you.
But how different is the situation? Because people started loving The Rock. Of course, Rock
had more charisma. John Cena doesn't have that much machismo or charisma.
Die,
But
Rocky,
people,
die.
People started liking The Rock when he started doing more comedy.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena's comedy,
Isn't funny.
it just...
Well, when he was rapping, you can't dismiss that. I mean, he had some pretty good rhymes.
That's what they're calling him now in the hood.
Your assumption that
By the
I'm
way,
from
Damian
or
Nelson-
live in the hood because
Damian
I'm
Nelson is our
African-American a bit
hood
offensive.
our hood
You
representative.
nappy-headed hoe.
Ha 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 ha!
We'd have to go...
Because I was on the phone. Thank you.
We'll explain this joke one day. Hi, guys. This
Mamas,
is
put your kids to bed because Meathead's loose.
Gary from Manchester, England writes, hi, guys. Love the show. A question. I'm a British fan of wrestling. I'm wondering how long the current stupid stories on Raw, SmackDown, and ECW are going to last. This whole ECW originals versus new breed Seems like a bit like NWO versus WCW from 10 years ago.
We actually somewhat just addressed that in our Fan of the Week email. What organization?
Story. Well, he goes into ECW, Raw, and SmackDown. Stupid stories, I guess. To some people, there aren't stupid stories.
To each his own.
You may be frustrated. Before the program, we talked about how a little bit frustrated we are at Raw as a whole. Except Damien, of course.
Damien, explain to the viewers here, again, your rule on the wrestling fans' memory.
3 years, max. There's a 3-year statute of limitations on wrestling fans' memories.
You know, I was thinking about this, and real quick. The new wrestlers, you mentioned in Atlanta, the
Deep South.
Deep South. The new people that want to go into wrestling, they're about 18 years old, that at least go into professional wrestling. Correct? 18 to 20?
Somewhere in that neighborhood at times.
Okay? So you have to go back now 18 to 20 years. So you're looking at 87, 88.
WrestleMania 3, 4-ish.
Okay? So what was it back then that, for them to...
That got them?
I mean, now, remember, they're not watching it when they're 1 or 2 years old, but let's say 6, 7. What
Macho
is
Man, Ultimate Warrior. It was perfect. It was, Luger. It was Ric Flair. Those are the guys that got these wrestlers, these new school wrestlers. 4 Horsemen, exactly, to get into the business.
I think it's a great topic. If someone wants to chime in, your first, depending on what age, obviously, your first thoughts of wrestling when you first started watching, was it, 4 Horsemen days, or was it Bret Hart? Any wrestlers that you... Yeah, I know. I'm just curious because, people are saying, I just like wrestling old school. Well, old school now is not 60s and 70s.
It's like
it's mid.
What I've learned recently is that 60s are not the oldies. The 80s are the oldies now for today's generation.
Right.
Which includes me.
Darren,
do the thing with your head.
No.
Be
some
my
kind of trick monkey?
joke monkey.
Darren Murphy writes.
Yes, he does.
That was about CM Punk. That was probably the worst heel turn I've ever seen. First of all, it makes no sense, and secondly, it was terribly executed. He stood in the ring looking at the new breed for so long that you either stopped caring what was going to happen, or you clearly saw that he was not going to attack them. A good heel turn is when there's a melee
it's
in the ring,
ECW. I can't help it.
and a good guy suddenly smashes a chair off the head of another good guy. Agree, disagree.
That was pretty lame.
It was ECW. Did you see? I just started yawning.
And the execution sense has been pretty lame, too. He punked Elijah Burke this past Tuesday on.
Who I noticed more and more every week.
It's a great experience, the Elijah experience.
Great music,
Same
too.
with my late
I'm ready for
grandfather,
my close-up, baby. Frank, hot.
Andrew Tanner.
It's a great name.
Basically, he had a nice biography on Andrew Tanner, but I broke it down to one question.
I just don't poke my eye out.
Don't you hate him?
I have a question. I usually get up for Mike and Mike in the morning, and every week they have a man-up question.
That's on ESPN.
Here's my
right?
man-up question. Are you a man if you stay up over 3 hours past your bedtime on a school night for an overtime game in hockey?
What man has a bedtime? That's your answer, right there.
Eddie from New Jersey writes, Who do you think was some top-notch talent to have never been world champion in major feds?
Kurt Hennig.
Roddy Piper.
His picks are the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase.
Ted
He's not
DiBiase.
dead.
Owen Hart, Arn Anderson, Scott Hall,
Owen Hart's a good
Malenko.
one.
Just name a few.
Dean was a great cruiserweight, a
The
great
man of
worker.
1,001 moves or whatever.
Chris Jericho is the man of 1,004 holds. You know what his best move was? Armbar! YouTube, my friends. 1,004 holds, Chris Jericho. Armbar!
What wrestling moment made you proud to be a wrestling fan? His pick was WrestleMania 18 when Hulk Hogan hulked up on The Rock.
Still get goosebumps when I watch that match. That match told such an amazing story about where wrestling was and where wrestling is.
We talked
and where
about
wrestling
it.
was going.
Obviously, we were doing the show already at that point, but we
Big
gave
Daddy.
crazy respect to The Rock for going
Went
into
heel,
the match
mid-match.
face and just changed it right there. Did his job.
That was an amazing night. That WrestleMania had some. That was the Vince Rising WrestleMania
Yes.
too. And
Yep.
The devil reincarnated.
And also, it was a sad WrestleMania for me too because
Who?
Happy Harry Hardon stole the belt from my guy.
1, 2, 3, middle of the ring, pinned.
Stole it.
Carry on, Frank. Uninterrupted.
Steve from Detroit came across your
Steve, oh
website.
my God, that city! Don't get me started. I love you, brother, but good
Detroit
God.
Rock City.
Detroit Rock City.
All we need is music, sweet music.
I came across your website about a week ago and have never and am hooked ever since.
It's his first
I
day.
know. On your site, it says you have 2 new shows a week. He wants to know why.
Now we've got like 5.
We have a show a week, Fridays.
As long as we don't have things to do, and we've talked about that before.
Eric from Los Angeles, California.
Ooh.
City of Angels.
Been a fan of your show since I came across it a few months ago. I have to say that it's a very great show. I've heard Raw, SmackDown, ECW, and TNA announcer talk about the wrestlers with the longest title reigns. What I want to know is, who is the wrestler that had the shortest title reign?
Easy.
Easy E?
No, easy.
Was it Yokozuna at WrestleMania
Yokozuna.
9? Was it, as Bobby Heenan said, you mean to tell me Yokozuna was a champion for 5 minutes?
It may be shorter, but that's the big one that
that's
stands
one
out.
A lot of people remember.
I don't know if you happen to notice, I was giving you the answer, Ball Damien.
That was JR's first WrestleMania, you know.
in a toga.
How would that play in Muskogee? That's what he said.
Brian Huggins, Charleston, whoo, South Carolina.
South Kakalaki.
Too bad Flair's from North Carolina.
Well, this is South Carolina. He's got 3 hometowns, basically.
Yeah.
I read that question in the rumors that Orton might be going to DX. Huh? Okay, think about this for a second. Orton wouldn't get his foot in the door of DX. Why, you ask? Okay, Evolution. Orton was thrown out of Evolution for a reason. And that reason was, at the time, he took Hunter's spotlight by beating Benoit for the championship. You obviously think Triple H would work with Randy again when he comes back. I would highly doubt it. And to Meathead, good job on the WrestleMania predictions.
Why, yours were the best.
Yours.
Orton,
I got a
Triple
few
H
right.
would do whatever it took, in my opinion, to do what's best for the business.
Yeah, I think so too. But honestly, there will be no new members in DX.
Frank, we've got time for uno more.
One more.
4 managers fingering me here.
And by the way, we read all
What
of
did
the
you
emails.
just say?
This, I don't know who this is from.
Well, then we're not reading it.
It's from your.
Oh, no. Okay, we're going to read this one real quick. You give it a shot trying to read that.
Yeah, I can read that.
This one's from Ashley Cara, or Cara, from Swansea, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Wales, UK, which is not in England.
But it is across the pond, and we love our viewers from across the pond.
Right, it's in Wales.
I love your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to
When
comment.
they say that, they mean they love me. Sorry, Frank.
And it says, Dear
interrupted.
Damien, Meathead, and Frank. I
Yeah,
love
Frank
your show."
Constantino gets no love.
I just wanted to comment on the Raw main event for Backlash. I think John Cena is going to retain the WWE Championship, and since Judgment Day is going to be tri-branded this year, nicely done, that John Cena will defend his title against Randy Orton. Therefore, Orton will finally get his one-on-one match. I don't have a problem with this, but I don't know why the WWE has given Cade and Murdoch a World Tag Team title match on a pay-per-view,
Because they've earned it.
as they haven't been in that spot for such a long time.
I
He doesn't
no.
really care about,
I
He
think
doesn't
they've
care about the
earned it.
women's title match, and with the exception of Mickey and Victoria, the rest of the divas just simply can't wrestle. Final 2 questions here. I think Kane should not have taken his mask off.
Is
as
that a
we already
question?
saw.
Frank uninterrupted.
Frank just started beating his eyebrow at me, going.
Frank,
Right.
you interrupted him. Have you seen his new contract?
No.
I think Kane should not have taken his mask off, as we've already saw him as Fake Diesel and Isaac Yankem.
DDS.
And he should definitely put on some muscle, and then he should be in contention for the World Heavyweight title. Do you agree?
No.
Oh, there's the question.
Yes.
I disagree. I feel that Kane is where he is, and
Kane's body is where
he's going
it
to
should
coast
be.
on out of his
Kane's body is where it should be.
What would be your dream match, regardless of stipulations, what company the wrestlers are in, or if they are deceased?
Hogan in his prime, which I'm talking between 84 and 91, and Flair in his prime, I'm talking between 78
80s.
and 86.
I think late 80s, Flair.
That is the money match. It ain't Hogan Austin. It ain't Rock Austin. It ain't Rock Hogan. It's those two, in my opinion.
I'd almost have to say Bruno Sammartino and Hogan.
Flair.
I'm going to piggyback off that. Flair, Hogan in their primes would have been extremely exciting to watch. They tried.
Folks, you can be a
I've
part of
seen it in
PWR
WCW.
Interactive. Send your emails to mail@pwrshow.com. It goes right into Frank's email box. And
Frank Costantino does get love on this show.
Frank, you there? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for stopping on by.
Yeah, why don't you
And
roll your
now,
ass out of here.
Ladies and